Hello, I'm Denise Hartzaw. I'm a member of the Bylaws Committee, and I'm here to walk you through Article 11, Budget and Finance. Let me share my screen so you can see what we're talking about. Okay. All right, first of all, an overview of the resources available. On the church website, peopleschurch.net, you will find recorded presentations of all 12 articles. You'll also find documents that have the full text of the proposed bylaws and a summary of major changes. The idea is to read these documents or watch the recordings before you attend a live listening session or have a one-on-one conversation with a bylaws committee member. So here are the highlights of Article 11. The board appoints the finance committee members. The congregation, by a 2/3 vote, approves any real estate transaction affecting church location or functioning. And the endowment committee is now called the investment committee. Here's the actual wording of the article. Number 1, a finance committee shall be appointed by the Board of Trustees. Each appointee shall serve until they resign or are removed by the board. Number 2, the finance committee is responsible for financial affairs with input from other church stakeholders and direction from the Board of Trustees, and shall prepare a budget for each fiscal year. Number 3, at the annual meeting, the congregation may amend the proposed budget, but shall approve an operating budget for the coming fiscal year. Number 4, the church fiscal year shall run from July 1 through June 30. That's no change. Number 5, the purchase or sale of any real estate impacting the church location or functioning shall be approved by at least 67%, that's 2/3 of votes cast, by a minimum of 40% of the membership, voting by a method accessible to all members as specified in the policy manual. Number 6, any non-budgeted expenditure exceeding 5% of the total annual operating budget shall be approved by a simple majority of votes cast by a minimum of 30% of the membership, voting by a method accessible to all members as specified in the policy manual. Number 7, the church shall have a separate endowment to assure the long-range financial future of the church, to help the church manage and survive financial emergencies, and to fund capital needs and special projects that further the mission of the church. And this is no change. Number 8, an investment committee shall manage the endowment and other church investment funds. 8A, pursuant to the investment policy statements as adopted by the Board of Trustees, the investment committee is empowered, acting through its elected chair, to hold, sell, exchange, rent, lease, transfer, convert, invest, reinvest, or engage others to do the same, and in all other respects, manage and control the investment assets of the church. 8B, the investment committee shall consist of 3 members of the congregation appointed by the board for 3-year terms. Number 1, no member shall serve more than 6 consecutive years. After a lapse of 1 year, former committee members may be reappointed. The board shall have the authority to remove a committee member for cause. Number 2, my goodness, this thing moves on its own. No member may serve on the investment committee while also serving on the Board of Trustees or as an employee of the church. 8C, a majority vote of the members of the investment committee is needed to approve any committee decision. Number 1, the investment committee shall elect its own chairperson. Number 2, the investment committee shall report to the Board of Trustees on a quarterly basis or as the board requires, and provide a written report to the congregation at the annual congregational meeting. 8D, investment committee members shall not be liable for any losses incurred by the investment committee, except to the extent that such losses arise out of acts or omissions of willful misconduct or gross negligence. 8D1, each member shall be liable for their own acts or omissions of willful misconduct or gross negligence, and not for the acts or omissions of other members. 2, No member of the committee shall engage in any self-dealing or transactions with church investments in which the member has a direct or indirect financial interest. Number 3, members shall refrain at all times from conduct in which their personal interest would conflict with the interest of the church. What can you do next now that you know the content of the proposed Article 11? You can watch the other recordings on the other articles. You can read the proposed bylaws until you feel that you understand them to the extent that you would like to understand them. And you're welcome to participate in any or all of the interactive processes available, to ask a question, to give feedback, or you can have a one-on-one conversation with a committee member. If you'd like to ask a question or provide input or arrange for a conversation, you can email bylaws@peopleschurch.net. Thank you very much for watching and learning about this article.